Sage Steele. How many of y'all are familiar with Sage Steele? Y'all not familiar with Sage Steele? Sage Steele was a commentator, a sports commentator, and I guess you could say an analyst. You could say all of that because over there at ESPN, so many people wear different hats. But she actually worked for Disney at ESPN. And she's basically on with Tucker Carlson. Now, what she winds up saying, according to what's listed in the description of the video, is that white men have no voice over at ESPN. Let me say that again. She said, white men, boy, are y'all turning racism on his head or no? Are y'all turning racism on his head or no? Reverse racism. She said, white men don't even have a voice at ESPN. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's see what Sage had to say sitting down with Tucker Carlson.
Looking back, it's obvious that some of the worst things are some of the best things. Obviously, a horrible experience for you at ESPN, but on some level, aren't you glad you're gone?
Glad and glad I'm gone. They're kind of two different things. I mean, at the end of the day, yes. I'm still heartbroken that it happened the way it did.
Yes.
It didn't have to.
Yes.
And I loved what I did. And it took me years to get there. And it was super hard to stay there.
Yeah.
Not the most welcoming, nurturing place where you're being uplifted and encouraged and just even given constructive criticism to continue to get better.
Right.
But I did it, damn it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad because I can finally speak without being in fear.
Yeah.
Knowing again that like it's a lot bigger than me. I thought through the years I was just following my dream, and then along the way, you know, I had young women reaching out and saying, "Oh my God."
Look at Gene Cole. You see how Gene Cole don't know what he's talking about? He said white men on ESPN. Make it make sense. What's their name? Did you know that ESPN was owned by Disney and Disney was a publicly traded company? Who are these white men that own ESPN that you say and you speak of? Do y'all just be typing stuff sometimes, or do y'all think about what you say before you say it? Are y'all really familiar with how publicly traded companies operate, or you just be typing it in and you just want to be part of the Victim Olympics? I'm just curious. Who are these white men that own ESPN that I am not familiar with? Let's continue.
Gosh, you know, back in the day, my bosses said you have to straighten your hair and you can't look. That's not what anchors on TV look like, especially national TV, you know. And so I have young girls saying, "You're the first woman I saw that just owned your hair and didn't straighten and have the anchor bob and all that."
Yeah.
And so I just was talking about sports, like naive, but I didn't realize that I was being an example for other young women out there and Black women and just the diversity part. And so then when I realized that, what an honor, you know? So I'm sad that I don't have that platform to continue to do that, but I did it for almost 17 years.
Yeah.
And now I'm excited at the potential of doing it. I mean, look, I get to talk to Tucker Carlson, where other people who have no idea who I am will see me. And forget about this stuff. I'm just saying about being true to who we are
100%.
and standing up for what we believe in.
And not lying. No, I totally
did have to
agree.
lie. I had to lie a lot.
Yeah.
About things that I didn't agree with that we were doing on the air.
Like, tell me.
Well, to not be able to ask specific questions about, you know, when we had athletes all of a sudden collapse. LeBron's son.
He's a young man.
Mm-hmm. Healthiest possible.
Exactly.
That's one example. But to not be able to go there and ask those questions. They
wouldn't let you ask.
Oh, no. And it wasn't just me. It was other pieces that were done on Outside the Lines about it. But to me, I don't care if you're LeBron's son or if you're my neighbor. Like, you're a young man in particular, because there's some science behind that. I know we don't like the science word now, but there's some science behind that, right? And so if an 18-year-old kid is suddenly collapsing.
Especially a boy. That's right.
Yeah, if I'm his mother, I'm asking, okay, did he collapse because it was raining today versus sunny? Like any potential reason for
Of
this sudden
course, all the
collapse,
variables.
you're going
Yeah.
to ask as a journalist. When you look at the decisions Disney has made for many years, despite it really affecting their bottom line, right?
Right.
They've continued. Recently, Bob Iger came out, I think, in that SEC filing, acknowledging that they went too woke in many areas.
Do y'all know who Bob Iger is? Some of y'all are because y'all are part of the Bag Chaser. Shout out to the Patreon members. Bob Iger is the CEO, the acting CEO who did retire and then came back. Is the CEO of Disney that obviously owns ESPN. And Bob Iger is admitting now that there is a large conglomerate of people that is divesting themselves from Disney and Disney platform and Disney movies and all of that. She said that Bob Iger admitted that they went too woke. And you know what they say? You go woke, you go broke.
And look at what's happened with the what used to be incredible content that Disney used to put out,
Yes.
and look what's happened and look at the numbers and the
Well, look
losses.
at ESPN and the numbers there. I mean, that's part of my question. Do you think you got out in retrospect at the right time?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, do you think ESPN will be a force in sports news in 10 years?
I think, well, it all goes back to the rights deals.
Yeah.
And because I hear all the time on social media that the only reason that they watch ESPN is because, the
They've
College
got the
Football National
games.
Championship,
Yeah.
they have the games, they have the live broadcasts, and the ESPN knows that, which is why they've tried to create other revenue streams and, digital and, the ESPN.
ESPN is dying. It's just flat out. Listen, I don't care how much Stephen A. Smith say, we're still at the top of the ratings. So many content creators in general, are unleashed and they're funded differently and they funding themselves sometimes. Think about what it is. I would rather watch Cameron and Mace do a breakdown of Jordan Poole than I would rather see a bunch of women on a diversity, equity, and inclusion team breaking down an ESPN game. Flat out. I can't even talk to the referees in the NBA the way that I used to talk to the referees in the NBA. The guy referees, they used to take it. They used to be like, yeah, man, Anton. One of them even came up and he introduced himself to me. He said, oh, my God, what's going on, Anton from Anton? I love you, bro. I love what you got going on. The women referees, oh, my God, I can't believe that she made that call. She be looking at you ready to throw you off. Referees got a lot of power at these games. I'm telling you, look, dog, referees, not players, referees can get you banned from the building. They can get you through out of the whole game. And them women referees, they be emotional. Telling you. Women referees, they be out of control. Hey, girl, I like it. I like the way you blew the whistle. Oh, okay. Because if you go to enough games, you see some of the same referees over and over and over again a lot of times. I went to a game one time, and then I jumped on a plane to go over to Dallas. The last time I hit Dallas, and I wound up sitting next to the referee that had just ref the game previously. And he was like, hey, man, you want to go to a Dallas game? I didn't have it in my capacity. I think there was a time that I actually went and did Real Life Street Stars. Real Life Street Stars is when I went to Dallas, and he was like, hey, man, you want to? Nah, I ain't going to be able to do it. I'm in here and get in and get out. You know what I'm saying? But you see some of the same referees, and they cool, and they notice you or whatever. But them women referees, they be having their head on them. Hey, man, I can't believe that you just go ahead and sit back. Acting like you ain't pay all that money for them tickets.
Plus, which hasn't done great. Disney Plus has not done great.
Yeah.
And so people feel it. Again, people don't come to ESPN to talk politics. But hey, it's not just ESPN. The leagues have done it. Look at what the NBA has done and kind of shoving it down your throats. And then on the courts, it says Black Lives Matter. Still in some places. And it's like, wait, are we not paying attention to what we now know factually about Black Lives Matter? So I'm just never surprised anymore. My point is, just because I'm not surprised doesn't mean I give up. We give up. Those of us who aren't afraid anymore. If we give up, I feel like we're complicit.
Did any, that's for certain. You're exactly right there, I think. Did any other anchors express empathy, offline, privately?
There were a few. There were definitely a few, and anchors or reporters or analysts for sure. There's a lot of people who feel the way I feel about many things. A lot of men who work there, who are on air, who wrote and said, I don't know that it's courage, but they said, I wish I had the courage that you have.
Oh, that's so embarrassing. I mean, come on.
Listen, the beginning of the end for me, I already knew that the league had been watered down and all of this stuff. The beginning of the end for me, which started giving me the itch to walk away, which I'm really like disgusted, I'm done, was when I started seeing they get extra woke when they got that pandemic and they had to play in and they started putting Black Lives Matters on the court. Everybody was kneeling and then they started having all of them names on the back of their jerseys. I said, what is this? I said, I thought sports was supposed to unite us. No matter how different that you are, no matter what neighborhood that you live in, right? No matter what color that you are, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. Hold on, man. Hello.
Hey, Anton, this is your dash. How are you?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm super, but I'm working on it.
Okay. All right. That's what's up. So you coming up to deliver the order?
Yes, I'm actually, what street is this? Off of Canfield, I can turn right on Wilbur by Hopcat, and I'll be up shortly.
Okay. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you.
My pleasure. See you in a few minutes.
All right. Bye. Sports is supposed to unite us. It's supposed to bring us together. It's supposed to be the thing that breaks the barriers between us. It don't matter where you work at. You could be an entrepreneur. You can be an executive. You can be a man, a woman, a kid, or whatever. It doesn't matter what you are. It's supposed to be the thing that takes us away from the stuff that we argue about every day and we go out and we compete for. You know what I'm saying? At the end of we all rooting for the same team. We going back and forth. We laughing. This white guy right here, he may not even necessarily care for what it is that you do for a living or what your political affiliation is, but we're united in the idea that we're rooting for this team because we're using entertainment as a way to distract us from what we got to go back and do the next morning. And I said, you said Kaepernick started it, the new movement. It didn't for me. Kaepernick was just a talking point. It was something for me to talk about on social media because I wasn't a 49ers fan or anything like that anyway. But when I started seeing all of this wokeness and all of this stuff and then Dwayne Wade started having a voice, I said, I didn't come to hear what Dwayne Wade had to say. I came to watch Dwayne Wade play. That was the beginning of the end for me. That was the beginning of the end. I actually had canceled my seats. And it was during the pandemic, and then they wound up getting me back because I had a really great representative. But this year, I said, I'm done, bro. I can't do it.
That's some dignity, right? I mean,
I agree. Grow a pair.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I do try to put myself in their shoes.
No, I get it.
As white men.
Yeah, no, I get it.
When you don't have endless money and you have a family to support, white men are not allowed to have a voice.
Ooh. She said, listen, you can say what you want to say. You think it's your skin color that's going to get you by? It's not. She said, white men that ain't got no money or they depending on the same thing that you depending on in order to be able to feed their family, they shut up, just like the black men do. They shut up and they do their job. They do what they being paid to do. She said it. She said, listen, it was white men that work with me as broadcasters and all of this other type of stuff. And they was like, ooh, I wish you had the courage that you got. Because at the end of the day, when you got to feed your family and you need that paycheck and you depending on this system and you need your health care coverage and your benefits and you trying to get your contract renewed for next year, you're going to do the same thing that everybody else do. You know why? Because it's a class situation. It's not race. It's a class. war. It's not race. And when you don't have resources like you think you do, and I know a lot of y'all see a white man walking down the street, say, oh my God, he got white privilege. She's a Karen. Nope. They trying to feed their family and keep their family together the same way that you are. The same way that you are.
And that part of the industry. And so I understand the fear, but I also see Black men and people who are allowed to say whatever they want quite often on social media at ESPN, who have daughters who are athletes, who are silent. And I know damn well that they're not letting a guy, a biological male, play against their daughter on the volleyball court.
Of course not.
But they're silent. And so
why?
I think that, well, I think it just goes back to the woke.
But I mean, if like Michael Wilbon, or whatever, someone
whom I love.
Yeah.
But we are we think completely differently on everything. But
then Wilbon's views may be totally sincere. But like if someone who's established and made some dough, you can say whatever you want. Why don't they?
I think it's this
because you can't say what you want. You want to keep your job.
As a young woman and middle-aged women for years, it's that fear of being disliked and attacked.
Yeah.
So these big, strong, tough football players, and NBA players who have millions of dollars in the bank, who are now analysts, especially in the African American community.
They be broke.
I know
a lot of them dudes
for the
be broke.
most part with this topic of transgender, this in sports issue, we're on the same page.
They're not into it at all.
Hell no.
Yeah.
But they're silent. And to me, that's the worst thing is when they know and they can't afford to speak up. Again,
No, they can't.
it's never against
They there for a job
transgender
just like
community.
you are.
It's in support of women.
Well,
and if we
of course.
focus on that. So I actually have lost a ton of respect for a lot of those people because they just go like this.
Nah, that's not what it is. Everybody trying to feed their family and they trying to keep a job just like you, baby. Don't lose respect. Don't lose respect because you don't know what their situation is. You don't know what they're dealing with at home. You don't know why they're working so hard. Don't lose respect because you saying that they silent. They there to do a job just like you. And they being quiet just like you. And I don't care if they are white. Let me tell you something. White men, black men, all of them know that they expendable and they one paycheck away from trying to figure it out just like you. You keep counting pockets. I think that that's another thing that we do wrong. That's another thing that we do wrong. We count each other's pockets and we think that, oh, man, you did this or you did that. You have the ability to do it. You don't know what that man got going on. You don't have a clue what that man got going on. They trying to figure it out just like you.